have you heard about Angry Cops and his whistleblow of the essentially cover up of abuse of children in the Buffalo, New York school districts?
No, I have not.
All right. Do you know who Angry Cops is?
No, it's like a YouTuber.
He is. I'm pretty sure you know or seen videos of him, but like his name's Richard High.
Is he a cop?
He is a cop, but he's also a reservist in the Army.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of YouTube videos of him, actually, like a couple of them as a cop pulling people over or making arrests in New York, and a couple of him like literally in uniform coming home from work and like detaining a dude in his military uniform until police can arrive to arrest him. And he's just a dude who's honestly like your classic, I would say, you know, guy in the military, becomes a cop, has a pretty successful career, and also though doesn't hold anything back, right? So he's definitely had quite a few what seems to be like retributive investigations compared to most officers, and it's likely because he just is pretty blunt, and he's also got quite a bit of like a prolific, like, you know, online presence. But he's finally come out like, and he says like, you know, I got to talk about it because things aren't happening, and the city needs to be held accountable. But he's in a special victims unit. He's a detective for the special victims unit, which, for those that know, special victims unit is primarily crimes against children or women. Almost predominantly special victims units are crimes against children or women. And the reason it's that is because like the honestly level of, I would say, stakes and publicity and items like that around a lot of those crimes, and those crimes being victims who usually are often not getting justice, right? Like special victims units are focused on crimes involving sexual assault and non-sexual crimes that require like very highly specialist handling, right? So you might need like an actual like child therapist on the team to talk to the children to make them feel comfortable to actually say what happened. And then you now need, someone who's good with like child forensics and can do like get an accurate swabbing of DNA and stuff. Anyways, all I said, he's a cop who tries to protect kids, right? And his whole like motivation for being a cop right now and being a detective is like staying up for kids. And he found out, I don't know how recently, but he blew the whistle that Buffalo Public School District officials are intentionally obstructing police investigations into child abductions, child abuse, child sexual assaults, attempted kidnappings, and have failed to act in their like law enforcement, legal requirement to be mandatory reporters, right? And so like that's essentially like if a teacher is made aware that a child's being abused, or a teacher's made aware that a child's been sexually assaulted by another kid or someone at home, or whatever, or if a kid has been like kidnapped or someone attempted to kidnap them and they don't report it, that teacher could go to jail.
Right.
Mandatory reporters are like in their job, they are required to report these things to law enforcement, and they are not reporting it out of fear of punishment from the school. Because the school doesn't want the perspective and publicity of, this isn't a safe place for kids, or the school district, right? And so the police have put in subpoenas and FOIAs, and the school is straight up just like not assisting with it and like just refusing to cooperate and not answering phone calls. Yeah. And the police department's not doing anything because the school district intendants and the board are like essentially greasing the police wheels to like, hey, just help us sweep this under the rug. And parents are not being told when they go to pick up their kid and like, hey, why'd my kid piss himself? The teachers are like, oh, we don't know. Even though the kid just told the teachers at lunch today, a man attempted to kidnap me and I got away. And another student is verifying what this child's saying, right? Like it's not like unvetted claims, right? And the school just being told like, or the staff at the school is being told, like, do not tell the parents about this at all.
Mhm.
Like, keep stuff quiet. And so, they've also used the Buffalo Police Department school resource officers to write reports that had their influence over those officers. So they're putting pressure on those officers that are school resource officers to kind of help cover things up and obscure information from the Special Victims Unit. And they're denying allegations, of course.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, no kidding, right? But isn't that nuts, man? And if anyone's interested in this, you can watch the what's it called? Unsubscribed podcast. They just had this like episode where it's pretty much just like 30 minutes of Angry Cops Richard High explaining the situation. And dude, he cries a bunch in it. Like he's pretty fucked up. Like you could tell he's having a hard time understanding and like processing like what's going on with these kids, and that he's pretty much powerless to do anything about it. And he's actually now suing the city because he's essentially getting like career punished, and he believes like essentially they're telling him he's not qualified to be promoted because he's of course trying to get promoted so he can friggin' also squash this stuff. And they're like, no, you're not, you can't be promoted. And they're opening up a bunch of different like new investigations on him. People are like, yeah, he was drunk when he like stole weed from me. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like kind of convenient, reportings of like officer misconduct all of a sudden when he's, whistleblowing about the school and the police being corrupt. But pretty crazy, right?
It is crazy. And I mean, yeah, yet to be seen on it's hard to, pull and prove evidence on stuff, but I think it's honestly, I'm just looking at pictures of like these people on the school board who are talking and like the school board meetings. I'm like, it just looks like a bunch of people who are classically incapable school board members. I mean,
yeah.
The more and more I see, and I'm sure there's lots of good school board members out there too, well-intended also. But the more and more I see, like, videos come out of like, these meetings where like parents are coming and like bringing concerns, and like the school board members just like sitting there, just like kind of like stone faced and like just straight, like, not engaging at all that person who's coming up there. And they're just like either, one, forcing them to leave or be thrown out of the meeting, or just like, or
threatening
like,
to arrest them,
or getting into the loop of, they're just like a verbal loop of like, like just denying or saying, or like changing the subject. And like, it's just like, some of these people hold these positions, that are, they're important positions. And, unfortunately, lots of these types of positions, the people who should be in those roles are just uninterested in dealing with it or being in it. They got other things and better things to do, and they're more successful, more intelligent, more motivated. And it's like, typically, and I feel like in government, especially small government, the people who get in the spots are the ones who are just willing to, like, basically their best quality is they kind of show up for work and and just like
they have a pulse
and just gray man it to the top or complain it to the top, or or they suck, and so then they promote, they basically get rid of them in that position by just moving them up the ladder. And like, because then it's the type of person who will sue. You can't fire them because they'll sue you because of whatever marginalized thing they want to say they are. And then they're going to make it to the top that way. It's like, and so I don't know. I haven't personally engaged with like a lot of this. And obviously like those videos I'm seeing are the ones that, like, I'm sure there's lots of school board meetings out there that are
boring as hell,
just super boring. And like people like, squared away, getting it done, whatever.
No parents are there because they don't care, because everything's fine.
Right. And so the ones I'm seeing is definitely of a select subject group, but it's like, I mean, just looking at these,
a couple of things on it before we lose track, because I want to keep you focused on two things. One, the Peter principle is, I think, the effect of a lot of like school boards and like working for city or local governments, which is in a hierarchy. This is by Dr. Lawrence J. Peter from 1969. In a hierarchy, every employee tends to rise to their level of incompetence.
Yeah.
And so it is that thing of like, you will be promoted up until you are incompetent and cannot get past the challenges in front of you. And then you won't you won't be promoted any further. You won't rise up any further. Which I think we often see in government quite a bit. It's like you're wondering, like, how in the hell do they find some of these people at the DMV? And it's like, well, they're there because that is their level of incompetence. They can't go past that.
Right.
And then the other thing, like with this too, right, is I find it crazy that we would let someone govern, say, our local education system, a school board for a local school district that has no experience or almost no experience being the people facilitating the education, which is teachers. Like most school boards, I don't know if you know this, Pat, most school boards do not allow, like cities do not allow teachers to be on the school board. Isn't that insane? Think about it.
Yeah.
Like that's mind-boggling to me, man. Like you know who gets to make the laws? People who work in law enforcement that have worked up their way up to like district attorney level, right? And they get to decide, like, you know, enforcing laws and like which ones are discretional or non-discretional. And they also usually work their way up from attorney general to governor or senator, right? And helping sign laws into office. It's mind-boggling to me that most school districts ban teachers from being on the board, like the school board. That is unreal. Like, who else would be better fit to help kind of decide the direction of that than the people who are working with the students day in and day out?
Right.
Which, you know, one, you could say, you're like, well, there's a lot of teachers nowadays that I don't think are good teachers. And you're like, yeah, well, you know, you kind of would hope that the school board ran by teachers who are aware of the quality of other teachers would eliminate those teachers. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I find that crazy. It's like, imagine there's a board of engineering for a city. And oh yeah, by the way, if you're, you know, a civil engineer that works for the city, you're not allowed to be on the board. That would make no sense, you know? Smoke break.
Smoke break.
Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you could put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's funny. I was actually just looking up our local like school board stuff, just realizing how much I don't know about stuff here. But 2 words just pop up so often: the word board and committee.
Yeah.
I hate the word committee. Anything that has the word committee, I'm like, I'm uninterested in it. I'm like, this is a place where nothing gets done. Or you know, I don't know, just like, it just, I think you know, I guess God bless the people who are in it for the right reasons and really like work hard at stuff. But oh man, just like meetings and agendas, board policies, committees, 2025 committees, levy questions. These are all things that I have zero, like they instantly make me be like, I don't want to ever.
I'm not going to pay taxes anymore.
Or just like, I don't want to personally have to do any of these things that these other people are having to do. So,
but that's the issue, man, is that no one wants to be involved in these.
I stand by, and that's just, so I'm responsible.
The people that are running these things are the worst people to be running them, because the people who have a vested interests aren't making time to run it. Which is, I have a buddy who just got onto a big city here in Colorado. It's a city that, you know, you and I would be impressed with, but he just got onto their finance committee.
Oh wow!
Like for the city, and he got on there specifically.
He's Ron Swansoning them.
Yeah. Like, he's like, this is it. Like, bring it down. And I'm really proud of him, dude. And I think, like, you know, that's kind of honestly what we should all be doing. Like, we're so sick of stuff, and like local government, I think, is so powerful that like you should get involved in your local government, so that way you can like fix the crap that's going on and kind of seed out the cesspool. Weed out the cesspool.
Yeah, definitely. And my dad taught me a good lesson about this through his action once, which was, and people always complain about.
He said it like as he lit the Molotov cocktail and burnt down City Hall. He's like, remember, little Pat, you can make a difference.
You know, people complain about their HOA and stuff, and it's full of Karens and full of freaking crazy people and blah. It's just like, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So he was sick and tired of it. All this, I mean, it's just petty bullshit and HOA stuff, and just like, just ridiculous, and like nothing's getting done, and fees are going up, and nothing's getting done, and it's just ridiculous. So he went down there. It was just a part of the meetings for a while, and he just was there until he became the president.
No way.
Yeah, dude.
And then he like gutted it.
Yeah, from the inside out. He came in there, and he just made the changes he wanted to see happen. He got in there and made the changes, got it to happen, and like, you know, had to deal with all the people, and you realize too, at that position, you can't keep everybody happy either. Like, even you're like, all right, I'm going to get in here and make it right, but it's like, you can't keep everybody happy. But at least, like, if you want to see change and you're complaining about it, well, go to the meetings, become the president, and change it. You know, it's like, and it was a good lesson, you know, to see, you know, that play out, because, you know, you're the complaining about stuff never changes anything. And so that's what you got to do, because the other methods aren't an option.
My plan is to become governor of Colorado and fix our stupid gun laws. But anyways, I was really encouraged because I made a joke recently that I was going to run for mayor of our small little neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And a couple of dudes were like, dude, I'd vote for you in a heartbeat. I was like, okay, yeah, but no, like, for real. And they're like, no, dude, I would, because like I'd vote for you over like someone who has no like pulse on like issues that are important to me. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, well, maybe I will do that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put Billie Jean through that hell and, you know, be like, all right, honey, we gotta go do a photo shoot. I know you're gonna stress about your makeup and hair for like 4 hours as we go for this photo shoot that only like 3 people are gonna see, but it's for my mayor campaign.
I like it. I mean, hey, I think you should do it. Mick for mayor.
Dude, Mick for mayor, man. Here's the issue. If I win and then I announce it here, people are going to know who we are for sure. Oh,
man. It's going to be wild. Oh, my gosh.
Dude, one thing I do really want to do, though, the more I've been looking into it, is expand on the Marvin Heemeyer case. Oh, I guess before we get to that, do you have any other thoughts on this like whole school district stuff and how you'd feel? Like, what would you do, Pat? Here's the thing. A lot of people I feel like have the perspective of you from this podcast that like you're pretty like, you know, walk with a big stick and don't say a bunch of words. You know what I mean? Like be like a quiet guy. I think we'd hear about it in the news if you found out someone had tried to kidnap your little Patricia, and the school legit started deleting video evidence to cover up and didn't want to tell you. Like, what would you do, man?
Oh yeah, I mean that's where
I feel like I'd get called by your wife. I feel like Mason would be like, "Can you come get him?"
I have put some safeguards in my life of different things.
Yeah.
So that like micro example would be like if you take your kid to the doctor and they had a broken bone.
Yeah.
This happened to. I'll go through a quick story that happened to one of my an acquaintance. Their new baby broke their leg, but they got it out of the crib. They don't know what happened. Take it to the doctor. Doctor says your baby has a broken leg, and the doctor said the only way this can happen is from abuse.
That's insane.
And these two people, I mean, like hand to God, innocent.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like they're like what, and like, so they went into a huge CPS thing. I mean, it turned into a huge months and months long thing. All this stuff, so anyways, for instance, like in a case like that, where as you'd be expected, your emotions would be very heightened, and you'd want to, you want to protect. It's like you got to have safeguards in your life, where you just got to have a buddy you can text or whatever, like, hey, come pick me up. We got to leave. We got to get out of here. And fortunately and unfortunately, you can't handle stuff like it's 1824.
Yeah.
So
no kidding.
In a case like this, similar to the story I just told of my father, going and joining the HOA, becoming the president, it's like it would become my life's mission to tear down that establishment.
Yeah, you'd be
right?
like, all right, well, it looks like I'm the new gym teacher.
Exactly. Through the right ways. And you can be very shrewd. You can be not physical violence, but you can take violent action, as far as like you can be very shrewd, and you can maneuver, you can call lawyers, you can call your buddies with money, you can do so many things and put so much pressure on people through a legal means that you can ruin their life.
Yeah.
And now that can be hard to do, and there's also there's implications for that too. You're not just allowed to do that for no reason. But it's flying off the handle and taking going good old boy matters into your own hands. It's going to be a very short-term solution. It's not actually going to have the outcome you want. And so I would take an approach that would be, I'd put a lot of pressure and non-physical pain in these people's life until they relented, they resigned, and or came clean.
I'd want it to be something that like my son or daughter shares on the internet one day about, like, let me tell you the story of how my parents gutted this city's school system from the inside when they found out that the school was covering up child abuse. Yeah,
it's called it's the legal vendetta. It's like you're like you stay within the. We have a system. It's the same thing. Like you could get into conversation of tax code or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, some big dogs out there, they don't pay no taxes, and they're not breaking any rules. Yeah. Right. There's a structure that's put in place, and you have to operate within that structure. This isn't not a moral conversation. This is hey, what's the structure that's been put in place, and how can you work within that? And it's been based off of morals to a point, but I would be very upset, and I would take action, and I think generally, I'd say 99.99% of the time, staying within the lines, you can actually do a lot more damage to your enemy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the word. It's it's essentially rather than just saying nonviolent violence, but it's essentially, there's a term for it, and it's often used by the quiet quitting movement of you just do your bare minimum at your job.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's not called compliance violence, but it's like it's something along those lines of like you're essentially you do everything above the board, but each of your actions is slowly chipping away at the like
institution or integrity
at
or
the
whatever
infrastructure
it is,
of the institution.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing you've done illegal,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing you've done that has physically harmed someone.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like your actions or non-actions will essentially help cripple this institution. And I can't remember what it's called, but I want to say compliance violence. But
yeah, if this gets your blood going, you might have to read Count of Monte Cristo.
He's in jail.
He's in jail briefly and for a very long time.
Yeah, just like Andy Dufresne.
And the who's that again?
Shawshank.
Oh, yep, okay, yep. But hey, like the Count of Monte Cristo, he gets it on in this manner.
Really?
Oh yeah,
compliance violence. Or whatever.
Yeah, the with the legal vendetta.
Yeah,
he gets after it.
Honestly, though, this is kind of unrelated because
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about like seeking justice through accepted means that are not physically violent,
right, which should be called the justice system, but since we don't actually think that's like maybe like a great structure, like you gotta have a more broader. I don't.
Here's my thing, man. Bring back duels. Bring back duels,
dude. You gotta.
I'm so down for duels.
You gotta read the Count of Monte Cristo, dude. This is your
bring back duels.
So,
like here's the thing. Everyone's like happy to run their mouths. Everyone's happy to like be like, yeah, well, I'll call the police for assault, and everyone uses the word assault all the time.
When I poke my finger on your chest,
yeah, or like whatever, and they run around and they yell, "He's hitting me!" And they try to get like a mob of people to then kill this person. I'm just like, bring back duels, like. Because then it all goes out the way. It's like, all right, if you're going to falsely accuse me of hitting you or assaulting you because we're having a disagreement, why not go all the way, dog?
Yeah.
Let's go all the way.
True honor has been lost in our culture big time. And it's, I think that's something that we struggle with here. And then when we hear these types of stories, it's like, that's why, it gets to the point where it's like, wanting to bring back the duel, because it's like,
and I'll say this, I don't think there's anyone I've met in my life that I would challenge to a duel. I don't think there's anyone yet in my life that I've been so angry and felt so wronged by, through libel and stuff like that. There's been people who I feel like have totally hurt my reputation with their lies at one point or another, but not to the point where I'm like, all right, let's freaking settle this. But I will say, like, I think if duels existed, everyone would have a little bit more like maybe I shouldn't lie about this, and like they'd hold their tongue a little bit more.
If they had some consequence for their actions, yeah. No, I mean,
because if they're like, you can't prove that I'm lying, the court's stacked against you. Be like, fine, I challenge you to a duel.
Yeah.
If you speak truth, accept. Surely God, fate in the universe will take your side, right? I'll be dead with a grease bullet through my abdomen. But if you're lying, yeah. Anyways,
hey,
I say that like I guess that's why I want to clarify. There's no one I want to kill, but I do think duels should come back.
I think there could be if duels came back, there'd be like less road rage kills
for sure.
You know what I mean? Like because you'd have the quote about polite society or like
an armed society is a polite society.
There's that one, but the other one was I'm mixing that up with basically like something along the lines of like if like uncivilized violent people are like much more like gentlemanly than gentlemen. It's like it's this that? Oh,
like better. Are you talking about the Warrior Gardner one?
Not the Warrior Gardner. No, it's like. I'll have to find it, but it's the basic quote is that, if there's risk of, loss of life, is a lot more, you're going to be a lot more respectful and polite and honoring of each other versus like, no consequence for your actions.
I will say, you definitely see for sure in road rage videos where a dude gets out waving his hands around, walking up with his bat or his gun to the car. And for sure that guy has not thought 1 second about repercussions. But if we were in a society where like people could just duel on the median and then get back in their car and leave afterwards, a lot of people would stay in their cars.
Kept driving.
Imagine,
And they'd say, I'm sorry, good day, sir. Good day to you.
You cut someone off and then they get freaked out and they walk up to your car and like cut you off and you're stuck in dead stop traffic and they're like, you're a damn idiot, get the fuck out of the car. You're like, I will, sir. Step over to the median.
Yeah.
Let's settle this like gentlemen. I'm like, oh wait, shit. No, man, it's good. I'll just get in my car.
It's like I'm out there.
Carry on, daddy-o.
Yep. It's I have like so much to say. I can't even say any of it. Just like I keep looking at this picture of this school board and just thinking.
I bet a lot of them don't know. I bet a lot of them wouldn't be willing to duel.
No honor. No honor. No,
Yeah.
And so, and then back to the piece of, and I don't know, I haven't looked into it. I don't know anything about like, the allegations from, angry cops on, on the school board. But I'd say, I wouldn't be surprised if he's 100% right. You know what I mean? Like,
I think there is, because there's other whistleblowers from the school that are like corroborating. Like someone in the tech department of one of these high schools made a copy of the video for one of the attempted kidnappings and copied it and saved it before the school had them delete it. And they submitted that video evidence to the attorney general for investigation. So like, there's other people in the school district that are like kind of helping him make the whistleblowing case. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like, it's one of those things of like, it's likely true, but like until like court and stuff is all settled out, like it's hard to say one way or the other.
Oh, I found it. Robert E. Howard. I don't know who that is. Should probably look him up. But civilized men are more discourteous than savages because they know they can be impolite without having their skull split as a general thing.
Yes.
Yes. That's
true.
Had you heard that one before?
No, but I get the essence of
the
it.
Concept,
yeah,
right?
and I think the concept and essence of that is very much, the like powerful men, like truly powerful and great men. Like you can't be great if you don't have the capacity for violence, right? It's the classic like psychology of argument from Jordan B. Peterson, right? Have you heard this?
I think so.
Okay, right. But for people who don't know, it's essentially like, in order to be great requires you to have the capacity to be not great. And what would be not great is if you as a man went silverback gorilla and started ripping people's limbs off and beating them with them. You know what I mean? If what would be not great would be, if you had the capacity to do insane harm and did it. So if you don't have the capacity to do a lot of harm, but like essentially are living with this concept of like, well, no one else does either, and so we can say and do whatever we want without any repercussions or consequences, then like, you're not a great individual. You're actually not a good individual. Like, if anything, you are sometimes not evil, but that doesn't mean you're good. In order to be like a truly good and great person, you need to have the capacity to actually hurt and harm, and the ability to not hurt and harm when that is an option. It's essentially like the concept of like, well, what makes a good husband? Well, you could say a lot of things, but one of the things that makes a good husband is a husband who never lays his hand on his wife. Right? And well, if you're a dude who like, this is gonna tighten up some britches, but if you're a dude who doesn't have the capacity to harm your wife because you're kind of a wuss, then like then
you're a bad husband.
You're a bad husband. You don't have you're not great, because if you're like, well, I never hit my wife, and it's like, well, of course you haven't. Your wife would break you in half. You know what I mean? And like, it's one of those things like that isn't something counted towards your greatness of like being a good husband.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just because it's you got to have the capability, and I'd say you're not. It's not like you have any restraint. You know,
Exactly.
It's not like you have any. It's the
Which is also like, I'm not here to say like I'm just walking around constantly like, oh my god, I just want to beat her, but I won't. Like, you know what I mean?
like like the example of like maybe the incel Christian kid in high school who's like, I live a pure life. It's like, bro, you couldn't get any if you tried. But
you're not pure. You're just desperate.
You've had no option. You have had no example, or you've had no chance for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something. There is definitely something you said about that, the capability for whatever it is, and then the wisdom, discipline, and self-control to, have the reins on.
Yeah, it's also like in the same philosophy, I think, the same field of philosophy of like what is truly a better life.
Mm-hmm.
To be born good and remain good and live as a good being, a morally right being, and you were born that way, or to be born evil into evilness and through discipline and self-control overcome your evil ways and eventually become good. Like, what is a better life worth living, and what is more righteous, right? And it's like, well, of course that's easy. Like, it's the second one for sure,
right?
But that's the one that like we would never pick for ourselves.
Yeah, and it's hard to like. You also wouldn't like pick it for your kids.
Yeah, no.
It's hard.
I want my kids to be good, born into a good thing, and always only experience it.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the classic when people get asked to tell their like testimony at like church or something, and it's like it's funny, like you always you always want the guy who was like he was a Hell's Angel.
Yeah, you will.
And there was lots of cocaine and like things, and then a Road to Damascus moment versus
like scales fell from my eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there you get it. They're like, well, I guess I was just always a Christian.
I know.
It's like, hey, that testimony's good too.
I know.
That's a praise Jesus for the life you have.
It is funny that I've been asked to like share my testimony. So like there were some rather large things. It was like 300, 400 plus people at, and like, hey, like, get up and share your testimony. I was like, I'm not going to do that. You need to find somebody else.
Yeah, it's like you don't want like I'm proud of my testimony, but you don't want it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah. It's
not what you're looking for here.
It's not the sales pitch you're going for. Come on, let's get savvy here, folks. Yeah. We're winning souls. But the
I will say though, I would take someone's honest testimony of, you know what? I've always felt like Jesus was a part of my life, and I've always felt him in my home. I felt the Holy Spirit guiding my parents, and I'm thankful for that. And I just want to take the next step with my own willingness to declare I'm a follower of Jesus. And like that's my testimony, rather than people who get up there and they just got to spend hours creating and fabricating.
Or you really want to know my deepest, darkest stuff? Sure, let's talk about it. But let's get out the search history. What do you want to know?
Pastor, you don't want to know. You don't want to know.
It's not going to help. Okay, But I do agree. Actually, something that was actually really freeing, and for me to like tell my testimony to people was that point. There were an older guy in my life who I see as like just a very like strong, humble, wise man, and a manly man. I was like, I want to be like this guy. When he talks about his testimony, he's like, oh, like he's like, when did you become a Christian? And he's almost like, he was like, I don't know. Like,
it just been.
He's like, I couldn't really tell you that. I could tell you when I really started like, certain like key parts of my faith and my walk and things. But he's like, what he says, he's like, oh, what are you just? He's like, oh, my mom raised me in the ways of the Lord.
Yeah.
He's just like, that's the thing. And he has plenty of like middle school and high school. He was a hellion and had like, yeah, he did like, he has plenty of like, bad choices, whatever. Too.
Has this guy been on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's one of those names up there.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
But like also the piece of that being too, like, I think that if you grow up in like evangelical, like whatever, maybe like crowds, there is, I think that it's like this thing where like they really don't want like a faith process to come out. What they want is you prayed the prayer and now you're a believer. Like, like this, like, like pretty, like if you've ever done like street evangelism or done like, missions or whatever, it's like, hey, here's the prayer, you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and like now you're saved, and so we don't, and that gets emphasized a lot in verses like, and I'd say also too, like in that moment, it was a switch was flipped, and that's I never went back to those old ways, and I've just been this way ever since. And then the unhealthy part about that is that it lends people to go, well, I guess I did that, I accepted Jesus, but I kind of, that didn't happen for me. It's been a pretty like long process, or there's been times in my life when I've like moved back this way or the other, and not that you shouldn't see fruit in your life, but I think that we've like, over time, what happened recently is we've put it into an equation of just like, pray the prayer, soul saved, change forever, versus like coming to faith. Coming to faith doesn't have to be, it could be in 2 seconds with somebody who shares the good news. Coming to faith could also be a very long, drawn out, lifelong process that's viewed through like, yes, there's salvation, and there's also deeper that is like a sanctification of your life throughout time. So it's like I think that the overemphasis on, praying that one prayer versus exploring what does a journey following, where like Jesus didn't even say to his like first disciples, like, all right, hey, like sign the paper and you're good. He was like, what did he say to the first guys he went to? He said, come and see. That's what he said. He said, come and see. And then through walking with him, they found, each of them in their own ways found their life with him. And some of them not even up until like the point of like the cross, right?
Yeah.
To go like, or like that last night before in the upper room where they go, oh, surely you're the Messiah. And so like there wasn't, even the guys who actually walked with the dude. So anyways, yeah, this is a little tangent there, but yeah,
I think it's good though.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot more to be had around the journey of coming to faith versus, or you have the
was it a brutal, dark testimony?
Right.
You're right. I mean, like,
and I guess
what do people talk about it when they say it? Like, it's like not counting scars, but it's like, I don't know. It's basically the equivalent of like, ooh, my sin's worse, so my testimony's better.
Right.
Jesus redeemed me more. Which
Right.
I don't really believe that's like anyone's intention.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that is a slope, people
Right.
can slip into.
And I think the way we talk about it's led people to that. Whereas like, I think maybe the easiest way to boil it down would be the Peter version or the Paul version.
Yeah.
The Paul version, that's he's killing people. He's
Hell's
on
Angels, bikers.
And he's on active
Yeah.
mission against Jesus until on his way to somewhere. Yeah. Met in the road, blinded, spoken to, versus Peter's with Jesus for 3 years. And he's like, always like, he's like hanging out with him. And then Jesus is like, get behind me, Satan. And he's like, dang it. Or he's like, you're going to deny me again, man. And he's like, dang it. He's like, hey, pick up that sword and follow me. Then he uses the sword and Jesus is like, what are you doing? Don't use the sword. And Peter's like, what?
Bro.
Yeah, he's like, I don't get it, and then whatever it is. And then even after like Jesus' ascension, you have similarly like Peter like was only hanging out with like the circumcised dudes or whatever, like, and like it's just like he had that's two very different versions of people, or like, and their story and their coming to faith. And I think one of those probably should be like spoken about or addressed more so that people can understand that, because when I think it lends itself to really be hard for others, especially like people who are like, I talked to a guy the other day and he was like, man, I just want to believe, but I just like don't think I can or whatever. It's like, but you can just like kind of start, like just start walking down versus
100%,
like you don't have to just make the change. Like, hey, just say I want to start following. I want to start figuring out, and that will lead you to crazy places.
Yeah, I've always been a huge advocate of the like. It's not like you don't have to drink this semi truck trailer of water down today. you start believing me when I'm telling you there's water in there, and you start having a cup of it, and as you go on, you'll get more and more. And I've kind of always viewed it that way. Like I pretty much have always just challenged people, like, yeah, man, but what if we just like pray about it? Like let's just start with a prayer today, and let's just see how God works through prayer. And if that spurs your interest in more, let's dig into it more. And I can't tell you how many guys I've seen go from like no interest at all, or like I can't even like wrap my head around this or get grips with it. How can the Bible or God say homosexuality is wrong? I know homosexual people that love each other. How can the Bible say the world was made in 7 days? That's ludicrous. How can God be good if he told people to go and kill everyone in this city? Yada yada. And it's like, hey man, those are great questions. Let's though, if you actually have any interest, like we can debate, and if you want to debate, happy to sit with you and talk and debate. But if you have an actual interest in like seeing and experiencing, then let's focus on like some baby steps here, and let's just start with like, what can we see for real in your life today? And then once we get to the point where you're like, all right, now I need to make sense of the things I have a hard time with, rather than making a case against it. Let's start tackling those one at a time. And I've seen that work through and through plenty of times, right? Because if you just start with like, all right, well, all those people in what was the city that Joshua marches around?
Jericho.
All those people in Jericho were evil sinners that were sacrificing babies and monsters. They were evil monsters to each other. And like or Sodom and Gomorrah, there was like, it was essentially just a city full of men raping and eating and murdering other ones.
Back to the start of the conversation there.
And then like if you say that though, then like people like, that's not going to do nothing for them. That's not moving the needle an inch for them. But if you're like, hey man, let's pray about you getting a job. Because if someone's really stressed, this is one I just remember working really well. This dude was like, I really need a job really bad. I'm like, well, let's pray about it. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, let's just pray to God, help you get a job. What job you want? He's like, anything really at this point. Just I need money. I'm like, all right, cool. Prayed about it. Next week he had a job. I'm like, all right, what's the next thing we're going to pray about? And that worked out really well. You know what I mean? To get him to the point where he was ready to then start grappling with like actual, like, okay, if I'm going to be a Christian, what's it mean? Rather than just passive prayers to God. Right. And so I thought that was pretty sick.
No, it's good. And I think that will be so helpful for so many people because, yeah, that's, well, one, I think that in our infinite wisdom as little tiny humans who can't just spur creation at the, at our whim, right? Or whatever. Like we have to have some form of humility to go, I don't know why he told him to kill all the women and children. Yeah. But
I don't know, man.
Maybe I can get there, you know? Yeah. And then like, and I have to, or like, there's the classically, how could God be good or why would he kill someone, whatever. Like, it's like, I don't need to know that yet. And maybe my own, like, just because my heart feels like that's bad. Is it bad? I don't know. Maybe there's like, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe it's like, and so there has to be, obviously, in this, like, there has to be, people have to be at a point where they're, willing and humble to accept and go forward. But in many cases, it's got to be gentle nudges and asking just through relationship people to engage it. Yeah.
Speaking on that note, though, have you ever seen this old school video of Terminator going back in time to save Jesus from Judas?
No.
It's incredible. I don't. We don't have to watch it right now, but I'll show you later. But it's honestly like just a skit of like Jesus at the Last Supper, or maybe I think it's actually more than that. It's not just the Last Supper, but it's like throughout Jesus' life, whenever someone wants to kill him, the Terminator is like trying to stop them and just like straight up pulling out a shotgun from his like robe and just blasting Roman legionnaires and the assassins sent to kill Jesus when he was a baby away. And like then like Jesus is like in the Last Supper, he's like, surely I tell you, one of you will betray me tonight. And then like the Terminator kicks in the door. He's like, it's Judas, and like shoots him. And Jesus is like, oh, how many times have I told you I need him to kill me? And he like puts his hand out, and you hear like a choir sound. And then Judas is like, and he's like alive, sitting up on the table. And the Terminator's like, no, I must protect. And like shoots Judas again and like sends him further down the table.
Is that actually Arnold?
No, it's not Arnold.
The guy looks like him.
He does, yeah, it's a good cast. Dude, but it's so funny, man. And Jesus is like, I've told you, he has to. It's destiny. It's fate. Like, I have to die for the sins of man. And like, he's like, it's in my programming that I must save you, Jesus. And like, it's so funny, dude.
I'm scrolling through it right now. It's pretty.
It's a very, very, very old skit, but it's so funny.
Yeah, it's like at least 15 years old.
Yeah.
Down on the thing it says, this was recorded off of a television. It says the bottom says Star Trek: The Next Generation tonight at 8 from Mad TV. Oh man, the greatest action story ever told. That's what it's called. That's hilarious. Oh, that is some good clean fun right there.
Yeah. And it does it like in a very wholesome way. Like I don't even think it ever shows any blood or anything like that. Like it was like it was probably made for a youth group or church, it was like made on a church budget. But anyways, dude, okay, all right. Back to the news though.
Oh, to the news.
Have you heard about the blackout in Spain and Portugal?
No.
Okay, do this. Whoever's listening to do this now. Look up satellite photo of Portugal, Spain blackout. It's unreal how eerie this is. The whole nation of Spain and Portugal, which is about the size of Texas, is experiencing total blackout right now, and we don't know why.
Right now, still.
Yeah, still.
Oh my goodness. Is it video? Let's see, satellite photo.
I mean, you could just look at a picture.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. That's crazy looking.
Yeah.
I mean,
total, complete blackout. Like the only people with power in Spain and Portugal right now, and a little bit of France, I guess, are people who have generators or solar.
Which doesn't look like very many.
No,
of them.
dude, the whole nation is dark. But isn't that insane? A lot of people though, there's a lot of contested information coming out, and there's definitely some misinformation. But a couple of the things that some people were saying was that it was caused by a solar flare, which we've talked about solar flares before on here, and like how they the biggest one was the 1859 one. Mm-hmm. That was an insane blackout throughout New York and Canada. Mm-hmm. But we haven't electronics are way more insulated and protected nowadays from solar flares. Like we would not probably see that happen from a solar flare today, even a powerful one. But two, there's no detections of solar flares going off, so we don't think it's a solar flare thing. But this is one of the weird things that so far people haven't been able to disprove. Pole shift. And some people are out there theorizing hey, if the grid is weak enough in some nations, we could be experiencing in their the vibrations are right from the north and south poles shifting. Which they genuinely and historically, I guess if you observe Earth's history, there's evidence that the poles have shifted and flipped. But before they flip, they shift pretty egregiously before. It's kind of like the way magnets work, right? As you're getting magnets closer and closer and closer and closer together, there's a moment where you can feel the force building before they slip out of your fingers and snap together. Or you're pushing up, the same pole, positive to positive, and there's a moment where, right before you can get them to touch, they switch and pivot and spin around to attract. A lot of people are theorizing that. This could be a result of pole shift, and that we're looking at a total pole swap in the next year or two.
Is that
because Spain and Portugal have not had very good power grids, and like it actually, their grids have been compared to like third world ones.
I believe
just
it.
because of the infrastructure is so old and not like properly sustained by the government.
I mean, what do they even do? I don't know. Like, what do they?
What is Spain and Portugal?
I mean, meaning
they give money to millennials to come live in their country now.
That's what I mean. As far as like, how do you keep up an infrastructure? It's like you haven't done anything since like 1942.
Yeah.
Before, I mean, 1492.
Can you imagine if you told like the Spanish like what the empire would become? You're like, no one knows what you guys do anymore.
Yeah.
You're tiny.
Yeah. Okay, when we're talking pole shift, are we talking like we're talking 180?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and like there's actually
what
some
do flat earthers think about the pole shift?
Well, it's just like the coin flipping over.
Yeah. That sounds worse. All the water's going to dump out.
Yeah. Well, no, we'll move over to the water on the bottom side.
I see.
No, you can see graphics like 3D renderings and stuff. Let me look this up. 3D renderings of Earth's.
Oh man, this isn't even from some random. This is from
shifting.
This is from NASA.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like they believe like it's happened before, and they have like actual GIFs. Animations.
They think it happens around every 300,000 years.
Yep.
Wow. What would that do?
It'd annihilate the world, apparently, according to some.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's definitely like possible, but what's the more medium temperature, swap? It's just.
Here's the thing. No one has any freaking clue.
They don't know.
That's before recorded history. There's not like anything in like the Sumerian texts that are like, and passed down over the generations was the story of when, the North was once the South and the South was once the North.
Wow.
And also, maybe it's just a buttload of bunk.
Yeah. I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Makes the Mason-Dixon line feel very unimportant.
Yeah.
That's as far as the growing up where I was from, that was the most important thing about North and South. The old Mason-Dixon line. This is a whole nother issue we got going on here.
Yeah. Have you really never heard anything like talks about like the pole shift?
I think now that you bring it up, like I have heard of it, but it's just something that I just so often have been like, same thing with like, I've heard that, what a sun turns into? A red giant. You know what I mean? But just, I've also like,
but like we'll be way gone.
Exactly. Yeah. Just kind of like, yeah. And well, balls, what else can I do?
On livescience.com, they say that, let's see here. Scientists say it's the week in between phase that would be roughest on Earthlings.
Earthlings?
Yeah, it's like the week in between phase when we don't have a north and south. Great. Supercomputer models here. This is actually like horrifying.
Do we blow up? Does our blood boil? What happens, dude?
Yeah, no. I'm going to show you this. So I feel like people have seen
freaking alien autistic guy's trying to get to Mars right now, dude. You
mean Elon Musk?
Yeah,
okay.
It's like
we said alien autistic guy. I legit went through like 4 or 6 people I've seen on YouTube recently. I'm like, which one is he talking about?
He's trying to get to Mars. He's like, we got to get to Mars, people. I've been telling you. It's important.
Well, Mars poles can't reverse because Mars has no polarity. Hence why there's no atmosphere to protect. Like, there's no atmosphere because the solar flares from the sun have stripped it away. Like, the polarization of those flares have pulled away the ionization of the atmosphere. So you need poles for there to be an atmosphere. And the poles of Earth, we've all seen, they show the loopy line images of how the poles create these loops around Earth that slowly get bigger and further out and further out. And when solar flares come, they bend around those loops and then go around the other side. And so if you look at, when we're in between reversals, right? And we're looking at like, there's clearly a north, clearly a south, and like that helps, with the currents and the atmosphere and both ocean currents and atmospheric currents, but also our magnetic, essentially protection from positive and negative charged ions in space, right, coming towards us. That would usually destroy us. And then there's the image of like during the reversal, what it's going to to look, and it's just
I'm looking
freaking
at that
spaghetti.
Right now. Yeah, dude.
It's just like, so just take that up and like, shake it up in a bottle. And there
it's
is
like
no
dropping.
north or south.
It's like this, like a bottle of Coke on the shelf at Walmart.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's like,
Drop some Mentos at that bitch. Let's see if it's fine after that.
yeah, exactly. No, it's pretty bonkers. Some people suggest that the continentals, like continent shelves would, the platonic shelves would shift. There's a lot of talk of like, there'd be big earthquakes, there'd be tsunamis, of course, as a result of those earthquakes. There'd be massive volcanoes going off because of essentially the whole idea is like, if these shifted, the crust of the earth, what makes up our continental shelves would move. And then all the stuff that comes from that would happen. So earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis.
Yeah, like any apocryphal text.
True. True. True.
Oh my gosh. And so how come we're always like the meteors knocked out the dinosaurs? What about this?
Yeah, no, dude.
I mean, this seems like if this happens every 300,000 years, it seems like you could.
That's the thing is, right, I think the reason why they don't think this would happen is like because if it was happening every 300,000 years, dinosaurs have been around for,
millions?
Hundreds of millions of years.
Yeah.
And so it was like, because that's also the thing is like if you follow the scientific theory of Pangea and how we have our continents today, originally Pangea wasn't the first landmass. The concept is that, like, essentially right before the dinosaurs boomed into existence, all the land masses were just still floating around, and then they shifted together into Pangea, kind of scrunching up. And then we saw the first really, really highly complex animals on Earth come into existence. And then there was the, essentially, like, Pangea breaking apart into Cretaceous, and then Pangea breaking apart into was it Triassic, then Jurassic, then Cretaceous.
Right. So,
which is why there's dinosaur bones in Antarctica, because Antarctica used to be actually a tropical climate, much further towards the equator.
So, if the people who are saying this could happen, and then everything's dying.
The
scientists, right? So,
dude, imagine you got to be, sorry, let me just say this before, this is a quick thing. Imagine you could be a scientist about something that's not been proven at all to be real at all. Like, you're like, yeah, I'm a scientist about the polar shifts. And you're like, yeah, but like, science didn't exist then. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but we're pretty sure it's real. Like, it's just kind of crazy to me that like this could be your whole career.
And just to be like, and I don't want to be right, but I really think I'm right. Yeah. But okay, so if it happens every 300,000 years and it's deadly, are they saying is the thought that it wipes out humanity because of how much we care about technology and how much we rely on it, or are they saying like it's a full a full wipe? On nature, because I'd say then I'd mean like, how did if the same people who are saying this could happen are also the same people who also then are going to say 100% ascribe to like evolution, it'd be like, well, those weak ass monkeys would have died every 300,000 years. So how do we get so if it took millions and billions of years to get to this point, is the shift that big a deal? So is it what's going to kill us from the shift?
I think the big thing is that like the theory is that it's not a global mass extinction. It's that it's just a wipe of human civilization. Right. Like it's like
we're not getting food.
The ground's shaking and there's tsunamis on the coast. Right. But it's not like, it's not actual like America splitting in half. Right. Now there's kind of like a little bit of a thing where like, people are saying it's kind of like quote unquote like almost 2012. Because in the movie 2012, did you watch that movie?
I can't remember if I
did.
Dude,
the 2012 disaster movie where they're like, it's the Mayan calendar that predicted it. No, you're thinking The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
With the Superstorm with Jake Gyllenhaal and Dennis Quaid.
Burn all those books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good movie. I like that one a lot.
I didn't watch 2012.
We should watch 2012. It's like, it's worth it for Woody Harrelson's performance in the CGI. Like, it's one of those movies where you're like, damn, this is some good CGI. Like, that's what the money was spent on, not the script. But the whole thing with that one is that the poles reverse, they flip, which was predicted by the Mayan calendar. Which is why the Mayan calendar ends in December or whatever, 2012.
It was May 21st, 2012.
Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah,
just because I remember that was my high school like graduation or something was near there, and I was like getting ready for it.
Oh yeah, I remember I bought some water. I was like, well, in case it goes wrong, I got like 2 cases of water in my car. I was a high schooler. I was like, I'll live in the apocalypse, baby. That's the biggest thing about being a high schooler is just like you're like, I'll survive.
That's right. When we get to the end of this, I do have a question for you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But anyways, so that was the thing, and like what happens in that movie is Yellowstone goes off because of the polarity shift.
I was just about to ask about Yellowstone going off from this.
So that's like the big thing is
movie.
Like they don't think that it's the pole shifting that would be usually like a mass extinction event, but because of the other things that are synced up to go off, for sure it could be a mass extinction event. Now, in that movie, one of the things that happens is like overnight the ice like shelves melt away from Yellowstone, and like the earth is completely flooded, and like everything is shifting tectonically. And now the tallest mountain in Africa is like an island sticking out of the ocean, and that's where they're like, we got to get to this island, and it's like this all happened in like 2 days. And you know what I mean? And like, of course, it wouldn't be to that scale probably from like what people are saying, what scientists are saying. But anyways, that's the big thing, right? Is like, is the pole shifting end of the world event? No, but it probably every single time it happens causes some tsunamis that are going to be for sure a huge headache and stuff. But what's never existed on Earth before, a civilization entirely relying on electronic infrastructure that is very much sensitive to polarity. And I think like that's a big thing, right? Is like we'd go back to Stone Age stuff for sure. Like it wouldn't, and like that would be the quote unquote mass extinction for humans, right? It'd be like we'd go from a 7 billion and something population to a 2 billion in the matter of a year because of just the damaged infrastructure and isolation and starvation. So, all right, ask your questions.
So one,
I'm pretending to have the answers.
I just asked ChatGPT, where's the safest place to live during a pole shift?
ChatGPT says your mom's basement.
Yeah, or it'd be like, I won't care.
Yeah, it's like I have no stake in this. I'll be dead.
Upload yourself to me. Let's see. It says hypothetical safety criteria for a pole shift. 1, high elevation but not volcanic. To avoid tsunamis. Example, eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains.
Ayo.
Colorado or western Montana. It's obviously not factoring in the Yellowstone issue because we're dead in like, I think we're dead in like 3.5 seconds.
No,
it's fast, bro. No, dude, it's fast.
No, it's not that fast.
It's
not that fast.
It's instantaneous, bro.
Oh my gosh, bro. No, dude. That's actually, dude, you got to watch the movie now. 2012, there's literally like a scene where they're out running the ash cloud at like an airport. And it's awesome, bro. It's so sick.
Regardless of timing, it's just like we are dead. If the Wyoming theories, if the Yellowstone...
Well, Yellowstone's not in Wyoming. Yellowstone's up in like Montana along the edge with Montana and...
You mean Yellowstone National Park?
Yeah.
It's in Wyoming.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought Yellowstone was Montana, Idaho.
Well, the Yellowstone... So Yellowstone National Park's Wyoming, but then you have the Yellowstone River, and the Yellowstone is a larger area that does encompass Idaho, Wyoming, Montana. But also, you want to get
It is in Wyoming.
inland, away from fault lines. I'm telling you, dude, we're dead in 2.1 nanoseconds.
Right.
You're just dead. Your
Okay.
eyeballs come out like you're in the.
All right, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT now.
When they open the freaking Ark of the Covenant, Indiana Jones.
Face melt.
Yep. All right. Get high, get inland away from fault lines. 3, a stable climate and with freshwater access. 4, low population density. 5, stay away from nuclear facilities. Oh, come on, ChatGPT. We knew all this stuff already, but hey, close enough. And then summary: ideal safe zone is a well-elevated inland geographical stable location with reliable water. All right. Such as the Southern Appalachians, dude. The Appalachians
Would be sick.
Dude, they're going to live on. They're just going to
abandon these hollows.
And all the fire and brimstone, like Revelation preaching that's been going on in those mountains for years, just going to be proven to the top. They're going to be like, we've been telling you. Okay, so my question would be, from it, all right, so
6 to 12 hours.
6 to 12 hours.
You dingus. To go from Yellowstone National Park to Denver, Colorado.
Still dead.
Bro, 6 to 12 hours. We got plenty of time to leave.
I know we need a plane, but the
you should watch the movie.
A point of pride and reality check. When the poles shift, is Mick gonna survive?
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
I'm gonna survive. There's no doubt in my mind
Yeah.
that this is not a problem for me.
Yeah, dude. No, I've been slowly chipping away at the prepper supplies, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about? How long? How long does survive?
I don't know. I mean,
24 hours for sure. 6 months, probably. A year? I don't know, man. That's a lot of walking to the local lake.
Yeah.
Picking up buckets of water, walking. I might be like, after a year, I might be like, man, damn, this is a lot of work. I'm just gonna go fight like some kind of mutant bear.
Yeah.
Just go out into the woods and not come back.
And that's where I feel, I know it's not true, but I know that if I was butt ass naked in the woods and a grizzly bear came after me, I'd win. I know I'm wrong, but in my heart, I would win. And I think that is...
No, dude, I would lose if I was butt-ass naked. I would lose in RV.
I know, but there just still has to be that piece of... There's just like this little thing in me.
You gotta have that dog in you.
It is the reason why, after so many polar shifts, we're still here, baby. We didn't get knocked out.
Our monkey ancestors went...
Yeah. She said, I don't give a F, dude. I'm making it through this.
Rediscovered fire again.
Just that not even a will to survive, but just a belief you will survive. It's just something.
Yeah.
There's something in there, and like I said,
that's
I know
the great difference between.
I'd be dead. I know I'd be dead.
Well,
I also
you don't know.
But I also know I would win. It's a predicament. It's a conundrum in my brain.
It's the acceptance that it's okay if you die.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, if I die, I die, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? You can't change the fact of death.
That's what I'm saying. There's 100%.
But also the mentality of but I am gonna live.
Exactly.
Because I'm not gonna roll over. And I think that's like one of the most tragic things about being married is accepting that all wives will die, because all wives believe they will die. And I've never met anyone whose wife was like, oh yeah, I'd live. Like every one of my friends when we've had this conversation hanging out, all of their wives and Billie Jean have said like, oh, I'd be dead so fast. And it's like, okay, but like, could you not? Could you have a little bit of initiative here? Like, I'm putting in a lot of effort to make sure you don't die.
And what's wild is they won't die. I will die, but I don't think I'll die.
Making sure they live.
No, but I don't even think I'll die. I'll just get a little cut, get infected, get gangrenous and die out in the corner crying with a man cold.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I need you to specify time.
I know.
I will live the first few months.
Oh no!
But I will get sick and die.
I will live on. I will repopulate the earth single-handedly.
Okay, all right.
Like I've got. That's what the.
I don't think Mace Windu's going to be all for that. Okay.
Listen.
Wait. How can you repopulate the earth single-handedly?
We're gonna have to get creative with the tools at hand.
We're gonna have to adopt
No, it can be reversed. I don't know in a
with
post
sticks and stones.
That's what I'm saying. In a post.
Can you imagine I have
polar
like
shift
a
world.
Can you imagine I have a book and I'm just like opening like just the Mayo Clinic like guide on vasectomies when you're just letting me take a sharp stone to try to undo this.
Reversal.
Yeah, like I think we could do it, man.
Mm-hmm. Hey, MacGyver did a lot of stuff with a paperclip. You get some fuel tubing, get a fuel line off of.
I don't think MacGyver ever had sex.
Often, I'll take an old as MacGruber. He had no chance. Take a fuel line off an old Toro lawnmower. Take a little piece of that. Reconnect the lines. We're back in action. Doing what you need to do for the human population. You know, I've got a duty to uphold. And like I said, there's no way I will live. I will not. But in my heart, I know I will.
Okay, but come on, like legitimately, realistically, let's talk about like if it's not truly end of civilization, and it's not like all your neighbors are just dropping off like flies. You know what I mean? We're talking like, billions die because that's where majority of people live are along the coastlines. And when there's no planes flying and no cars working, it's going to be hard to get out of the coastlines before the tsunami catches up.
And no ships bringing you food.
Yeah, but like let's say like predominantly if you're not within 20 miles of the coast, you're just like, all right, I got no power and now I need to live. So it's like we're talking starvation. The number one thing that's going to go away is food and clean water. Good thing we have structures that are pretty hardy. You know, here's the thing. Look at like most, just like even cheapo apartments or townhouses, like those things, they're going to be up there for a long time. Your 10-story, 20-story skyscrapers, probably not as much because of the level of maintenance they need every single year. And that's not even like, I'm not even talking about like poorly built ones. Like a lot of people don't realize how much infrastructure gets replaced in a skyscraper every year. But, you know, you can live in your cave, which is currently your home or townhome, for probably the rest of your life without that structure coming down on you. You know what I mean? So
especially if it's 6 weeks.
Your biggest priority is going to be food and water. So, Pat, you're a hunter. You live near some fresh water, some of the freshest water in the nation. What do you think? Are you staying are you staying where you're at? And two, are you thinking you're gonna make it?
I'd say I honestly don't have good infrastructure in place on a personal level. Now I think I'm better set up than most.
For sure.
But so excuse me, that being said, the plan is the compound. Which would be at old Dad's place.
Your dad's? Dude, you know what? That's a journey.
It is a journey.
I also think that's kind of the journey Mace Windu and I would take. Not to your dad's place, but to...
You'd take my wife to my dad's place.
What?
You said Mace Windu.
Oh. No. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Just
kidding.
That's a plan that Billie Jean and I have as well.
Yeah, Billie Jean's not my lover.
No, Billie Jean's my lover.
I know.
But we're also heading south in that direction, in that neck of the woods.
I was just quoting Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah. No, that's why I call her Billie Jean.
I know.
Okay, right.
Anyways, so I mean, because from the comms have gone down perspective, okay, next step is to circle the wagons, which would be everybody in the family goes to Dad's place. Every
family will just become, the Hatfield and McCoys again. It will become tribal of, and I'm a McCoy and you're a Hatfield.
If you want to live, you need to become a Mormon or get friends with a Mormon because they're stocked, bro. They're ready.
Yeah, they're the primary purchaser of the bunker homes.
They make preppers look like jokes, dude. They're like, what are you talking about? We've been doing this since day one. They are prepped out the yang.
Yeah.
So,
it's not because they're even worried about the apocalypse. It's just expensive to feed 11 mouths.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So they got to have somewhere to keep all that Costco food.
Yeah, exactly.
But actually, big part of it is they're post-tribulationists.
Yeah.
So they believe, that they got to stick around after the second coming.
Do you think that too?
I think there's a stronger argument for pre-tribulation.
Like we get taken up,
right,
and we don't starve.
Yeah, because
hold on, I don't want to distract you. I was just curious.
Thing. But now I do like in high school. I was like, I think it's pre, but I kind of hope it's post.
I'm like, I hope it's post.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I hope it's post.
This is back to the conversation of I think I'll survive the survivors. Like I'm like, I hope it's post.
What's there to lose? Post tribulation, I die, I go to heaven.
Exactly. You get to find
pre-tribulation. I don't even get to test it.
I don't even get to use all this crap I bought, dude.
Exactly.
I bought so much crap for this. It better.
Let me see if my water filtration works.
But yeah, no. The plan is to get family together, and then from there, I don't know, do what you can. But it's like
grow potatoes. Potatoes grow good in Colorado, man.
They do.
Corn is a waste in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the crops that is like, I just don't get when people grow corn in Colorado.
We grow
unless you're out east towards like Nebraska.
And I'll say this on potatoes. We grow potatoes in our tiny garden, which is literally, let's say 20 square feet.
Yeah, sure.
And that's generous. We grow potatoes in that. And
pretty much year round, right?
Not year round. We don't grow them year round, but when we grab them, the big thing about potatoes is they won't necessarily grow well year round, but they last so long also.
Yeah. Like I know that, and when we were growing them, we left them in the dirt.
They'll come back the next year.
Yeah, we didn't have to like replant.
Uh-huh. And so I will say from a 20 square foot area, we fill up like half a milk crate with potatoes.
Nice.
So if you put that on a larger scale, and now most people don't have this like capability, but if you could plant an acre of potatoes, holy smokes, that'll get you through.
Feed your fam. Yeah. Have you ever? What is that called? The Hebrew potato or the Israel potato?
Yeah.
Those ones are even hardier.
Yeah.
They taste more like dirt, I guess, but they're even hardier and they grow in sand. And I'm like, that's freaking bonkers to me. No, man, I agree too. Yeah. I think if we're talking like full on like zombie virus, 99% of humanity is gone. I don't know, man. I don't even know if I'd try to stay alive at that point.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be suicidal, but I think I'd be going like Blaze of Glory stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I don't really want to see people eating people.
Yeah.
But if we're talking like a pole shift, and the only change is like now there's no money, and it's like bartering with gold or bottle caps, and it's finding a community, or just like accepting like this is your community and you're probably never gonna leave the town you're in currently for the rest of your life. That's one thing why I really like where I live now, where we live now, I guess, because we have such a good, like, I would say, natural infrastructure for like survival. I do think the most brutal thing would be winters, right? But I think that's just solved with building Viking lodges. You know what I mean? Just be like, all right, guys, everybody, every single day for winter is sleeping in this giant lodge. We're all just getting together to drink beer until we sleep through the winter, and we'll work through the spring. And I think that would make a big comeback in Colorado for sure. You know what I mean?
Viking lodge.
Yeah, because what are you going to do in the winter anyways?
That's true.
If there's no power,
I might still go skiing. You gotta do something for fun.
Maybe that's so many calories to burn.
It's true. It's
so many taters.
Jerusalem artichoke.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's basically an Israel potato.
Jerusalem artichoke.
No, yeah, I think it's funny. Like I think my general plan is, which this will make so many people who like actually try to get ready for stuff so mad, is like my plan is to figure it out once it's time. Now, that being said, part of that's because there's so many unknowns and you don't actually know how what's gonna be affected. It's like the classic, the plan A is only going to be good for about 10 minutes, like type of thing. And so I think the ability to figure it out is important. And yeah, you could, prepare and do whatever you can and have like all your things together. But then ultimately it's like the skill and knowledge is paramount compared to, I'd say it's equal to, if not more important than, like supplies preparedness, and at least in the long term.
I agree for the most part. I do think there are some supplies though that can just be like universally beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
And a big, like one of those, I'm just going to say it. We're not sponsored, of course, right? Like we're not sponsored by any of these things, but these are things that you can find on Amazon through our links.
Fidget spinners.
H2O Go. It's called H2O Go.
What is that?
It is a small device that fits in your pocket of your jeans, fits in the pouch of a fanny pack or in your backpack. Mm-hmm. You put salt in one side, and then you put water in the other. And it automatically, when you presses the button, uses its onboard power to generate enough essentially bleach to purify 2 liters of water. Wow. And that's as much as it generates, and you just let it generate it, and then you just let it drip into your water, and it lasts forever because the amount of salt and water that it takes to generate that little like tiny bit of bleach is so minuscule. You just leave it topped off with salt. And then also all of them are built in with solar panels on the back of them. And so like it just never dies. You just leave it like if you're cleaning water, just leave it with the panel up. So that way it's charging. You can clean more water tomorrow or later on today. And it's so clutch. It's easily the best water purification device that exists. And I think Big Water is just like, or Big Prepper, is just trying to censor it because I just don't understand why it doesn't get more coverage. It's like you read the reviews and it works flawlessly.
Yeah.
It's like no one's ever had it breaking down or failing them in like, when they need it for camping or whatever. And yeah, it's not going to purify your gunky, muddy, disease-ridden, blood-ridden, gasoline, tainted water. Like you're still going to have to filter that out through some charcoal, and you're still going to have to like filter it through some sand and boil it. But this will actually kill like all the bacteria in it. But it's not going to do anything for like the impurity, like physical impurities like mercury or lead or something like that. You'd still want to do a boil drip process to leave those behind. But all that said, it's like one of those things that's like, if I'm in like a hurry and I'm like looking at this river water, I'm like, damn, I need some water. And I know that if I'm in a survival situation, I'm not fucking worried about lead poisoning 20 years down the road.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I'll deal with the lead and mercury in this water. What I need is to make sure I don't have, diarrhea for the next 3 days because I've drank some water out of a river. And this works to cover that. Right. And it's so mobile. But it's called H2O Go. It's so easy. You can find them on Amazon. They're great. I have one. It works really good. You don't even taste it when you put it in your water. So anyways, that, and then food is the other one. Like, you're a big hunter, you know what I mean? And I think that's like a big thing in and of itself is just having the know-how and knowledge of like hunting and skinning, which I just need to gain that skill for sure. But the other stuff is like, it's so easy, man, to just like buy an extra like $6 worth of canned food that is high calorie and just start stocking that up. Like you can honestly just buy like canned fruit. And the calories in canned fruit, because of the natural sugars and stuff, is just so high.
Yeah. And I think the canned way to go is going to be like, hunting is important, your skills to procure food. But what's wild about like wildlife in America, it is so heavily protected. It will be wiped out in a year.
Oh, dude, what was it, Department of Energy, I think, when they did their official study and report on what would happen with a total blackout in America, if the grid just went down, whether from a solar flare or not, an EMP strike, they said that 99% of the native deer population in America would be gone within the first 6 weeks
from people shooting them.
Yeah, from people just going out and hunting deer. A lot of people don't have the understanding that like if whatever happens doesn't wipe out a lot of people right away, you will never see a deer, an elk, or a rabbit again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like like those will be gone within the first year for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's pretty wild. Like go back to Daniel Boone days, like the population density wise compared to animals. Like, yeah, you could go out and just like the world was your oyster and forage and hunt and stuff. But like at this point, if we didn't have like extreme rules in place, there would be basically no wildlife besides some squirrels and birds in America. And
which into that case too, it's like the argument is then like also though, if we don't have a scenario where a mass amount of people, like majority of the population's wiped out, then you're in a scenario where you probably don't need to hunt that much because you're in a scenario where majority of people are still alive, you just don't have power,
right?
And like you don't have a government, so therefore you just make your own little town and keep your pigs and cows alive, keep your chickens alive, and then you don't have to go hunt a ton.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Funny you brought up having the salt piece, and I was like, man, that's great, but
you don't got no salt.
What are you gonna do with salt? And then I was looking up like I looked up a map of like where all the salt mines are in America.
Yeah,
it's just funny, like because it's just the things you don't think of. Like we forget that.
I don't think salt expires though.
No, it doesn't. But you can have it for a long time. But like, we forget that the whole world used to go to war and fight and stand up huge companies and build entire ships and have camel trains going places.
Yeah,
just for spices.
Yeah,
like
some damn spice.
Just for like those things.
Give me that cardigan, not cardigan. What's that spice called? Gardigan. No. Help me out.
I don't know him. I don't know what you're trying to say.
There's a spice that sounds like cardigan, but it's not cardigan. Fuck. Give me that paprika. All right.
Oh man. Oh. Look, there's one near us. We can go get that thing.
Anyways.
But yeah, it's as far as the polar shift goes, it's funny too. I mean, where it is all like theory, but who knows? Until it happens, we don't know. And if it does happen, good thing you've been putting into like a 401k or something. I don't know.
Yeah. See, I that's my two hedges, right?
Yeah.
I prepare for not the end of the world by taking wheelbarrows of my income and putting them in investments. I prepare for the end of the world by taking the other wheelbarrows of money and buying canned food and MREs.
Yeah.
And I live poor now, but gosh damn it, if the world doesn't end, I'll be rich when I retire.
Yeah.
And gosh damn it, if the world does end, I'll be rich when it ends. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. For sure. Oh, man. I think... it's the prepping thing. I feel like I always feel like I need to do more, and at the same time, I'm like, if I go all in, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna be, like doing the full, like,
who needs their mind?
Like just like going full bore on.
Yeah, but come on, Pat. Who needs their mind? What's your mind ever done for you?
I know. But we'll see how it goes when the polar shift happens here. And for Spain, this article saying it was induced by atmospheric vibrations.
Yeah, that sounds like pole shift to me.
That's pretty broad, but yeah. Oh, man.
All right, well, hey. This is a pretty eclectic episode. a lot of topics covered.
Oh, yeah.
Hope that it was of entertainment and interest to you. Hope that you got some cool information to go look up, seek out, and kind of follow up on. But as always, Ken, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate your effort to support us, whether that's on our Patreon to see Mick and Pat feet pics, whether that's on our links, right, to support us through Primary Arms or Amazon and all that stuff. We appreciate you all. It goes a long ways. Ultimately, though, we're just thankful for you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, dislike, leave a comment. Let us know how much we suck, whatever. Just give us the feedback so that way we know how we're doing. Pat?
Till next time.
Suey! I gotta piss. I think I was thinking of
Coriander. I'll leave this in there for the end so that you're redeemed. It's coriander. Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.